We've talked about the growth of biomass in a garden, and a lot of you folks out there are on your hands and knees slaving away, just constantly pulling grass, or worse, tilling up everything between the rows, and you lose some valuable opportunities for water management and carbon management. I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. I'm showing you the BCS tractor real quick. It has a flail mower attachment because we're going to show you the result of the spacing here at the Sustainable Homestead Institute. So behind me, we have some vegetative strips. You can see the flowers coming in, but this is how tall the grass is growing. I talked to some guys here. They said the grass was growing up almost to their hip, and you can see some of the grass growing in the beds here is pretty high. Now, typically what we end up doing, and I was out here a couple weeks ago, is we end up pulling up the weeds or chopping the weeds and then dropping them on the bed for mulch. That's the carbon opportunity right there. So we're pulling out the weeds. Now they come out really good when there's a lot of mulch in there, but we're making a carbonous layer, and the deeper that layer is, the more likely you're gonna have some kind of mulch that keeps other stuff from growing. Now out in the paths where people are walking and where there's movement, you're gonna have a situation where there's a little bit of compaction, but the paths are wide enough they can be mowed. Here's a good example of chop and drop. And so they got down here, they chopped and dropped it on the beds, layered it on the beds. And what it does again is it retains the moisture in the bed. It reduces the amount of grass or mulch that's coming up, or grass that's coming up. I keep calling grass mulch because that's what it is. And if chopped and dropped, you're less likely to have this kind of layering. Now, this is not that bad if it's on the beds. So what are we doing here? Well, the grass is actually a resource. The vegetative strip catches insects and other creatures. It actually sequesters carbon from the atmosphere. It builds the soil by putting roots deep down in the soil. Then you come along with the flail mower and you do this. Now, this seems like the spacing is too wide, that you're losing some opportunity here. Now, when we came down and chopped and dropped, we also trimmed out some of the vines or moved vines into the garden area. And you can see there's an overabundance of tomatoes. That's because there's been some rain events here that have really just got everything growing faster than it can be maintained. But ultimately, the grass strips in the middle were just recently flailed. They have not come back in yet and rake this up. See, they're just letting it dry out a little bit. But you rake out that material, put it under the plants, and it provides a mulch. Again, keeping water into the soil, adding biomass and adding carbon to the soil, helping the plants stay, so in the case of the tomatoes falling down there, helping to keep it up off the ground. Now, we've had heavy rains, we've had storms. This is not in perfect condition, but again, they're in the middle of working on it right now. So see, that would be raked over into the path. So the flail mower comes down here, cuts everything all up into little pieces. After it dries out, it gets picked up, thrown under the plants, and again, providing nutrients for the plants. Now, you don't have to have the flail mower necessarily, because you can run a tractor through it. Now, this is a rabbit tractor, but it could be a chicken tractor. It could be any kind of ruminant animal or animal that's going to deposit nutrients into the soil, and that deposited into the soil is now going to feed the plants. So the grass is a placeholder as well as a nutrient source for the soil and for the abundance that you're creating in the garden. Now again, the flail mower came down here. Some of these tomatoes, we had a lot of wind and rain. Some of them got knocked over from the wind and rain. But that flail mower chops up the materials, and now all it needs to be done is somebody to come back through and rake up the material, throw it on the beds. So you can either scythe it, that's the way I typically do, or you can use the flail mower. Look at this material, all this material. And then you throw it around the beds. Now, next year, could you move the paths? Could you grow something new in between the existing things? Yes. Again, a lot of people don't feel like they have the space to do this, but there's a spacing of both the plant, so giving the plant the space it needs, and the spacing of the time period, because the next crop can go in between the previous crops. What's growing in the path here, we showed you in other videos, is a lot of nitrogen fixing plants, including clover. So when somebody walks down this row with the flail mower, they're chopping up these materials. These materials then can get thrown around the plant. Now, the great thing about the flail mower is that it makes a rakeable material. Now, I like the scythe because it makes that long material, and these vegetative strips here could every so often get cut down. But again, if you're covering a larger market garden, the flail mower is going to be the best solution. Now, could you use a lawnmower? Sure, you could use a lawnmower, but sometimes the lawnmower is going to get clogged up. You're going to have other issues. But yes, a lawnmower would work. The flail mower will handle taller grass, so you don't have to mow as often, because this isn't about mowing the grass as much as it's about creating, capturing, and applying the carbonous material. And so we're just going to walk down a few rows. You can see some of the materials drying out. You do want the materials to dry out a little bit before you put them on. But you can see somebody could walk down there with a garden rake and just rake up underneath the plants, just like this right here. Can just rake that extra material underneath the plants, and then you can let it grow out again. And this is probably how tall it was. This kind of stuff can just get chopped and dropped. So again, if you're looking for an adaptive design, a design that works well with the landscape, these are contoured paths, and then the tomatoes are contoured in. If you're looking for something that has near zero maintenance, now, what I mean by near zero maintenance, well, that's because, again, this material, you're not mowing the grass as much as harvesting the biomass material to put up under your plants. And then if you want, of course, that continuation of growth, look at that, that's so beautiful, look at that. If you want that continuation of growth, all of this biomass is going back into the soil, sequestered from the atmosphere, nitrogen, carbon, other materials. It may look a little gangly to get started, but once it's got a simple process, now these are actually viney plants, so you're not necessarily going to flail mow in that, but once it's got a simple process, you end up getting these layers of mulch that become abundant in the soil, protecting the plants, protecting the microbes in the soil, ultimately creating abundance. I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead, on location here at the Sustainable Homestead Institute, where you can have volunteer opportunities, internships, and other things that would allow you to see how this stuff works. It's not always intuitive because a lot of folks, again, are obsessed with mowing lawns. This is not a lawn. This is a sequestration of carbon, an application of carbon to build soil, and ultimately all those roots going down into the ground are also helping with water and drainage, also helping with the distribution of nutrients, also helping with the recycling of abundance. There's no hauling anything off anywhere. It's all composted in place. If you'd like to learn about these things, visit our website at www.prosperityhomestead.org. We have a free newsletter. And then, of course, the Sustainable Homestead Institute, just search for them online. They're easy to find. They also have a video series that covers a lot of these things and more. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to answering your questions and comments below. Vegetative paths.